Hello out there, and quick follow-up video today regarding the CRKT VAS, or HVAS, which is what I called it when I first unboxed the knife and demonstrated how to take the knife apart and put it back together using the field strip technology. And I'll link to that down below, but that video was a lot of fun to make because I'd never handled a field strip knife before and sort of just did it blind, and even though I screwed up the process a little bit, I was able to get the knife back together and functional relatively easily. And something like that, ease of execution and being able to maintain your knife without any tools adds value to a knife. And the question about this knife, though, is does it add it to the point that this is worth $55? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is really just a focus on value when it comes to this model. Who is this knife for? Who is it not for? And is there a model that I would recommend instead of this at maybe a better price point? And spoiler alert, yes, there is. So I'm not really going to be doing a full review of this one. There's so much information out there already, so many good reviews, people hitting the high points about this knife, people hitting some of the potential warranty issues as far as like washers go and action and lockup. So yeah, if you are looking for information like that, definitely keep looking. And if there is something, I think Slicey Dicey has a really good review, and I will link to that down below if it's his or something else that I find that might be useful if you're looking for more information. But for today's purposes, let's just talk about value and this knife at the $55 price point. So what I think when it comes to this model right here is that it will give you good value if you are one of two people. One, you're someone who just really has a lot invested in being able to disassemble and reassemble your knife, say in the field or without tools. If you really like this ease of maintenance, maybe you're someone who doesn't, own a torque set or doesn't want to learn how to do that and just wants to be able to take care of their knives really simply, then yeah, this might be the knife for you. Also, I think maybe for more people, this blade shape is by itself possibly worth the $55. Jesper Voxn's design, I love his designs. I'm really into so many of his knives. And yeah, I think that just having a knife with this blade shape might be worth it. You might have to have it. And I'd really like to see CRKT make this knife not in a field strip version, maybe in an aluminum version in the future, because there is a lot to say about just how classy and functional this blade is. So if you're one of those two people, then certainly I would recommend picking this knife up. I'm not going to say no to it for that. If you really like the blade or field strip, go for it. 55 bucks, it'll definitely be worth it. But if you're not one of those people, I've got another knife for you. And it's a knife that I thought of within having the VAS in my hands for an hour or so. Because I kept holding it and looking at it, and I kept saying, I have seen this handle material before. And I've seen it with the same steel attached to the blade. And it's one of those knives that I used to own, and because of this blade, I had to pick it up again. And it is the Cold Steel Pro Light. Now, those of you who have been around for a long time, you might remember that the first ever 10 Things to Know video that I did was about this model, the Pro Light. And it was one that I liked a lot. And it was a different kind of review for me, and that's why I remembered it, because it just really stood out. It stood out as a knife that I enjoyed, and a knife that, with the budget materials it had, performed very well. And you can see, even though the texture is slightly different, it is the same material. It is the same material on these handle scales, and it's the same steel, the 4116. And the Pro Light was priced really fairly, just at like sub $30. I think 29 bucks up to 33, 34, depending on which variation you got. But now it's discontinued, and now you can find it for even less. And that might be a bit of a bummer for those of you out there who might not be able to find one, but there is another cold steel model that uses the exact same materials, but just a slightly different design, and that one's called the Working Man. And that one you can find, again, in like the $30 to $35 range. So basically you're saving 20 bucks plus and getting the same materials in a knife that has a triad lock, which personally I value much more than the field strip, and is also a little bit better in hand. So for me, if I'm recommending, the steel and this handle material, I'm going with the ProLite 100% of the time, even though, I mean, for me, there's no comparison between the two blades. The CRKT blade is way better, but the ProLite one is still a good looking knife, you know? So when it comes down to recommendations and value, you always have to keep in mind that value is in the eye of the beholder. Because I know that there are people who will look at this knife and think, yeah, but I really want the Voxness design, or I really like the field strip and I think it's a great price for a field strip. You know, whatever that is, you know, for me, for my intentions and my needed applications for EDC, I think the ProLite is always going to be a better knife. But I would definitely be interested in this design at maybe a different material and a different price point. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But definitely something I wanted to bring to your attention because obviously it struck me so hard that I bought the ProLite again for it. So let me know your thoughts. What do you value here? Which one would you prefer? Is the appeal of the CRKT knife worth the extra $20? For a lot of people, I know that answer might be yes. So let me know your thoughts. And any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. I really appreciate your time, guys, and I will talk with you soon. Have a good one.